Record. Okay, we're gonna get started now. Bonjour, everyone. Bonjour, Indinawe Maganadog. Ivy Nin, Indigenous Kajagi Nashimong, Owanakwe, Ojibwe Mong, Gitchio Nigamin and Dunjaba, American Indian Community Housing Organization, INDA. Bonjour, everybody. My name is Ivy Vineo. I'm the Cultural Arts Coordinator for the American Indian Community Housing Organization. I'm a direct descendant of a Grand Portage Band of Ojibwe tribal member. And what else? I am of the Wolf Clan. And so thank you all for joining us for this third and final session of our Art as Your Business three-part series with Gordon Coons. And these sessions have been amazing. The first two were so good, and this one's going to be really good. We had a run through yesterday, and you're going to learn so many amazing techniques and things about documenting your artwork, and just so happy to have Gordon with us. We are also proud and excited to partner with the Minnesota Indigenous Business Alliance, as well as a Minnesota Native Artist Alliance for these sessions. And we're proud to collaborate and partner with each of them on these particular 3 sessions and other events and programs to bring forward new and increased arts knowledge. And now I'm kind of getting off track here. Partner with each of these on particular 3 sessions and other events and programs to bring forward new or increased arts knowledge and provide Indigenous economic opportunities for Native artists and entrepreneurs. I want to thank the sponsors for tonight's session and the 2 sessions prior, the McKnight Foundation, Regional Arts Cultural Treasures Grant, Local Initiatives Corporation of Duluth, and Northwest Area Foundation. The rules of engagement is please keep yourself muted. There might be a time towards the end where we can just unmute and then have a conversation with Gordon. If you have a question, you can place that into the chat and I will moderate those questions as we go along. Yeah, so, and before I introduce Gordon, I want to introduce Pamela Standing. Pamela Standing is of the Cherokee Nation, and she is the Executive Director of the Minnesota Indigenous Business Alliance. She's an incredible arts advocate, activist, mentor. She's one of my mentors and so many others, and we're really great to have her be a part of this session tonight. To give a quick welcome, I'm gonna now spotlight you, Pamela, so you can have the floor. All right, welcome.
Nigada, nuote onole dakwadoa. Ania we digi uwi. Chalagi ni du quado. I'm happy to be here tonight, and we're with the Minnesota Indigenous Business Alliance and the newly formed Minnesota Native Arts Alliance. And we work with entrepreneurs and Native artisans throughout the state of Minnesota. And we are bringing people together because we find that there's strength when we unify our voices. More things, good things can happen when we collaborate and we come together. And so that's who we are. And we're really excited and really honored to be a part of this with AICHO and with Gordon Coons. He's such an amazing mentor and artist. So we really want to thank everyone for being here tonight and coming to learn from such a great teacher. Wado.
Pamela, can you share how people can connect with MNIBA and
They can go, yes. They can go directly to our website. It's mniba.org. And then for the Native Artists Alliance, it's just mini, MNI, nativeartists.org. And we have a really beautiful website that is designed for our artists, and there's a lot of good information and things that we're working on and doing that really are focused on the arts. Wado.
Great. Miigwech. All right, I'm going to spotlight Gordon now so I can have him in full view while I introduce Gordon. There he is, everyone. Gordon Coons is an artist based in Minneapolis. He's an enrolled member of the Oreilles band of Ojibwe near Hayward, Wisconsin. He is also an Ottawa direct descendant. Gordon is a painter, printmaker, and fumage artist. Largely self-taught, he paints in the Ojibwe woodland style and creates fumage, smoke art by burning cedar. He also prints with linoleum blocks. He draws inspiration from his Anishinaabe heritage, and his bright color palette comes from his natural surroundings in the Great Lakes region. Although his artwork is more contemporary, each piece portrays a unique view of traditional Native stories. He's won several awards, has shown in many galleries and museums and many markets across the United States. And you can find more of his work at www.gordoncoons.com, and I will put that in the chat. So tonight's session is about attracting lasting patrons, what everybody wants as an artist. Topics will include patrons versus audience, the definitions of each, documenting your artwork, authenticating your artwork, and art that goes with your couch. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the amazing Gordon Coons.
Bonjour. Thank you, Ivy Miigwech. That was great. I wish I could do that all the time, bring you along. Tonight we're going to talk about a variety of subjects, and mostly it's about generating your patrons, how to keep them you in mind, and what you want to do is really you want to support them they buy your art, they support you, so you want to support their purchases, and you want to recognize them and keep them in touch with you as much as you can. It builds up your reputation with them, and it makes them that will desire to come and purchase again from you again. So we had this in here as definitions, patrons versus audience. And that probably came from mostly my times in art markets, because it's a little bit longer period talking to people, and that's where you kind of develop it. So you're trying to educate people. That's the biggest things, educate people about yourself and your art. And you can tell a patron, they'll stand there, they'll ask you questions, and that's really the person you want to give time to, but every now and then there'll be somebody else that come into your booth. And so you got to balance that between introducing the new person, recognize them, and still keep your person that you're just talking to at the moment, and just ask for that time off. So you can kind of tell people who, if they come up with questions and you engage with them in a little bit of time and effort, because you don't have that much time, just like we have to. You don't have a lot of time. And the other ones, I call them audience. You can tell when they're just cruising by, and it's something you develop after you've been doing this numbers of years. You kind of know how people look at your work and they're interested. So that's really what the big difference is where do you spend your time with, and hope that you'll get a sale, maybe not at that moment, but later on. And this image that's sitting behind me is a painting. It's Jingle Dance Healing is what it's about. And I just sold that one just the other day, and the person I sold it to bought one of my images maybe 3-4 years ago. So you never know where they're going to come back and ask you. So excuse me, you got to give them that time again, educate them, and keep in touch with them, because you never know what's going to happen or when that's going to happen. I hope that's, it's just general knowledge that you'll develop on yourself. Who is a patron and which ones are your audience, and you want to give time to both of them, but you got to be aware of who the patron is, and not only are they going to buy work, but they're going to maybe give you a next opportunity down the road, something else. But you also got to be aware of that. So that we're going to talk about documenting work, and everything is going to, just about most of the subjects that we had brought up, that I brought up, are going to be under documentation. So that's kind of what we're going to do. We're just going to talk quickly about those so we have time to respond to any questions. And I have 3 questions from previous sessions that were submitted, and I'll try to answer them again. So I guess we're good. We're good to go with the slides and PDFs.
All right.
And we're going to start out with the first one, is the embossing seal, right? Yep, that's it. And we talked about in our last session about what is on a seal. So this particular circle I have in the middle is my seal that I use. And then below, the typed out is what the information is if you have a hard time reading it. That's kind of what I put on there. I tell the reservation I'm from, Lac Courte band, my name. I actually use my enrollment number. You could put something else, a design if you want to. And then I put my tribals that I'm with, Ojibwe from my father, Ottawa from my mother. Again, the bottom is the, goes with the circle, Lac Courte band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. That's kind of what's on my tribal enrollment card. And it's usually the Chippewas used by our treaty. So we still use that, even though you go by a variety of identifiers. Anishinaabe, we call ourselves. I like to use Ojibwe, and you can see on my seal, and then our US government calls us Chippewa. And there's all a discussion on what you should be using. Okay, so we're going to do the next slide. Next, there we go. And this is what I started out with. I started out with a handheld embosser. It's called a handheld, and it only made a seal that's 1 5/8 inches. This worked really good for numbers of years. And then I finally wore out the metalwork. I fatigued the metalwork around, so I had to get another one. So let's just go back to the screen again, Ivy. Okay. So this is that sealer, and you can see what I had, because I fatigued the metal here. I had to put in a drill bit to keep it together. And which is really nice is when it comes out and it's just a little quick created. I got this done at a regular office store. You give them your design. It folds up and it goes in a little traveling case. If you want to carry it with you, you can. So it goes pretty good. And you can snap up a lot of work with this. But one thing I found over the years that you have. You can buy these, documents that look, we'll see an image of it later. But one thing I found out is those, you've seen seals with the gold little foils on them. I found out those things fall off after a while, so I quit using them. I just stamped the paper now. I had to fix this thing, was falling. So this worked really good, and this is like you pay like $35, $38 for this, and it worked for 10 plus years. So it's a good product to use, but after you've been doing it enough, you want to do something a little bit better, right? So we got that, and then we'll talk about the next sealer I use. And we'll bring up that slide, Ivy.
Gordon, can you tell us where you actually, where on your piece do you put that, or do you just?
Well, Ivy, I'll bring that up after we talk about the seals, and then we'll do that. So we'll do the next slide. Myself. Yeah, well,
even though we had the run through. Okay, here we go.
So I'm gonna let you bring up the next PDF slide. I'm gonna call them slides, but So this one is previous one was a handheld model. This is called a desktop model, and this is really heavy, and I'll show you pictures. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's a bigger seal, which I like, and it gives you a little bit more punch power in the paper, so you can do heavier things, and your seal comes out through real nice. So we can go back to the screen. I'll just bring it up. Oh, man, this thing is heavy. It can hold a boat. So you can see it's kind of big. This does not come out, and this is where the seal. So this is brass, so you can see why it has a little bit more force to it. And this one costs quite a bit more. It costs like 3 times, so it's like $200. So it's a well, to me, because I like to use these things, and I enjoy doing them, so that it's well worth the cost. But it's something you don't have to necessarily start out with this. You can use that smaller one, but depends upon how many you do. And if you do wear it out, well, maybe you want to just jump in and get the big expensive model. So I had to order this online. The other one I walked into a store, but this one I just, because of times now, I probably spent a little bit of time looking at it. So this is quite heavy. You can't take it apart. It gives a little bit, they call it throats here. It gives a little bit deeper throat here, so you can punch into your paper quite a bit more. Okay, so we're going to talk now about how I use a seal. Where do I use a seal? I use a seal every place. And then we'll start with just the flow of the work that I do. So we're going to show the picture of the certificate of authenticity. Okay, so this is what I hand out to people. And you can see my seal as I look on the right-hand side. I got it punched into the paper. And now, because my certificate of authenticity, I give my name, my tribal affiliation, my enrollment number, title, and I bring in the image on this form. And then, you can buy these pre-printed forms at any office store. So I give the title work, and I give the media just a quick one, just a quick information about, it's acid-free and things like that. And because this is a print in a series, I give a number. What happened? You got to go a couple more, Ivy. There you go, too far. Let's just go back one. What happened? Well, anyways, as she finds that one, you can see that I put down the media edition because this particular image is a print. I put you're buying number 7 of 25. And then I say the size of paper and the year I made it, and I sign it. But one of the things I found out, a lawyer told me this. He said, sign your stuff with blue ink. So that, in fact, is blue ink that I sign because it's harder for them to copy it. And I think it's very important that somebody doesn't just copy your certificate and use it for something else. So use blue ink when you sign them if you want to make these things. And then we're going to show a picture of what's on the back. Okay, Ivy. And what I have is I had this show that somebody bought. They didn't buy that picture at this show, but they bought. I sold a picture and I put down the name of the show and the address, and I put down the date of the show, and the organization that supported the show brought it to it. And then I say, if I have time, I put the purchase by, and I'll put the name there, and I'll have them sign it. So it kind of gives them that little bit of a I don't know what you want to call it, but it makes them feel a little more comfortable about buying your work, and they feel a little more another level of being involved with your stuff. But if I bring these certificates and I don't have a show on them, I'll just have the purchase by, and then I'll leave it blank, and I'll just let them sign it. I usually force them to sign it right in front of me, so it's done deal. It isn't something that it just forgotten about. So let's go back to the picture. To the first. Well, one thing I do is I protect these things. So I also bought these plastic sleeves that I protect them. So I use there's kind of like probably 3 weights of these sleeves you can buy. We'll talk about those a little bit later, but this would be, I put this under a super heavyweight so it doesn't get bent and crooked, even me pushing it in the paper. So it gives it a little more life to it. And then the second level is one where I usually carry some documents or something. And then I started out with the 3rd level of sleeves. Yeah, you can buy them for real. You can buy a bunch of them real cheap. But what happens is your papers get all bent in after a while, so you don't want to hand out bent paper. So I just stay with the super heavyweight and the heavyweight to protect my work, because I want them, the patrons, to know that I'm giving them quality stuff. Not only am I giving them quality artwork, I give them quality documentations to go with it, because I want them to be my sales force, they're going to show their friends these things that they got, and they'll say, well, maybe I should get one too. You know, maybe I'll buy artwork from them. So we'll go on. We'll go on 2 slides, and we're going to go on to the one more. We're going to go down to what I call it the color list. And what I do is when I'm doing on my work, I have a little notebook and I keep track of what colors I'm using. And when I get done, I'll make a color list. And I'll also hand this to them. And then you can see my seal on the bottom of this image here. And on the top, just because I had the time, I'll put their name on an artist and the name of the image. And you know, it's a valuable document for me, and it's a valuable document for them. And why it's a valuable document for me, because when I travel, I call it a trailer rash. Every now and then, rarely does it happen, but every now and then one of my artworks might get a scratch or from being in my trailer going down the road. So I can find the color, I can go buy the color and I can fix it. Because if you don't have it, you say, well, it's kind of a blue, it's kind of a red, you go down and find that color, you probably have a heck of a time matching that color up. So I keep track of that. I got a book out there, it's got all my colors that I used. And let's see, we could talk about that a little bit later on, what colors I use and why I use them. Okay, we can go slide to the next. We can go to an open picture. We'll go back up one more to open. Yeah, so that's basically it. I have this color list, and I don't put nothing on the back. And usually, this is only 2 columns. I have some that have 3 columns. I usually don't go beyond that. It just happens that way. So we can go back to the next one. We're going to talk about the actual physical documents I give them. So this is one that I just got an award for this one too. So it's kind of nice. I was in an art shop in the UP. It just ended today, which was kind of nice. So I got an award. So on the bottom of this, I'll put another award. So what I do is for my documents, I want to. Again, I'm always looking at the patrons, always educating them, trying to give them more than the picture. And that's what you want to do. So I give them this document that goes with the picture, and I bring this along. It's extra stuff to bring, but you know, you'll figure how to, you know, you keep these things in these nice pre-punched sleeves. It keeps it nice and ordered, and you can just go grab and pull them all out and hand them off to the people. Not only do I you know, so I'm going back to this document. So I'll put my contact information at the top, my phone number. I don't give my address again. We talked about that last time about handing out addresses, but this one is more of a random thing. I don't have time to talk to the people as much. So usually I use this I use the same document when I do reproductions of my work. I'll send this in, at the bottom is this paper I'll have down. It's a cliche and it's done on this size, and I'll tell them the original size. So I'll give a little story. I'll tell them what they're buying. They're buying a print, and I'll tell them the total number of editions, the year that I created it, and the media. And the one that we looked at before is Cedar Smokes. I had Cedar Smoke, and it's 26 by 26. The paper, I think that because I do prints, paper is important to me. And I got this paper called Antigone. It was created in Italy. It was created for an artist over there. They made this special paper for him, and then they sell it, of course, now. And I use it for my smoke picture because the weight of the picture is quite heavy. It can take a lot of hand holding to it, and you know, it just tells about the paper and what it is. And then I put sometimes some of my images I put in for judgings, and granted the judging is somebody's opinion at that time, and so it doesn't mean too much, but it does mean a lot if you get the award, right? So I wouldn't worry too much if you get them, you don't get them, whatever, you know, you'll go through. And if you are into this, I enjoy going to markets, I enjoy entering judgings. So I got the Santa Fe second place category out there, and it's pretty tough in Santa Fe Indian art market. They got like 1,000, they used to get 1,500 booths out there, so there's a few people out there. And now, because the pandemic has changed and went virtual, and then they're going to start opening the door again. They opened it actually this last year. So this is just you can see this is just one page. And then we'll go look at the next document. You probably didn't see it in that shot, but it also has my seal on the bottom. There we go. Now this one is a little bit longer description into it. Part of this, you'll see why it went into a little bit more detail. But this was a title. It was purchased by our location, so I didn't put it down. So this was actually a commission, so I put a little bit of effort into it, commission wise. I'll put some more again effort into words on it and things. I'll give the native name if I can scrounge it up, find somebody to give me the, make sure I get the correct spelling. And it was about the "we heal ya." That was kind of nice. You want to go now to the second page? Oh, right here, and this is before we go. It says woodland art style. So I tell them what is our woodland art style. And a lot of people don't know where it kind of started, but it started by a fellow named Norville Morris up in Canada, and he's taught a lot of other artists about it. And so they have this long following of this woodland art style. But I believe it started with etchings in rocks. So Ojibwe people did etchings in rocks. You'll see them in different places. Some of them actually below water. We got a site down in southern, southwest Minnesota, Cottonwood down there. It's called Jeffrey's Petroglyphs. So it came from etchings in rocks and birch bark scroll stories, and they were put together. And then, of course, now we add colors. And a lot of these stories are regional stories for your reservation, and some are broader, some are larger, more outreaching. But that's where I come. That's where I bring my stories into my works. If we go to now this is page 1, and we go to page 2. I took out the commission name. I hope you don't mind. And then you can see where it says commission 4, and I had their name in there. And I put down the original size, and then I put down. I sell this particular document with my glissé, so I got a glissé edition. And I basically deal my glissés open editions. I don't number them. I just say, that's it. I'm printing these things. And you can see the size is 10 inches by 12 inches. I told you in our previous session, I make my glissés smaller than my original work. When I sell original work, they're buying original work. When they're buying a glissé, they're buying something a lot smaller. So it is also dictating the price too. They know what they're going to be paying for it. And that one also has my seal on the bottom. So I put that on everything. You wonder where I use it? I also put it on, every now and then I'll get magazines written about me, and I'll put it on the cover of the magazine. I'll use it on posters, postcards, whatever, and I'll give these out to my patrons. So you want to let them know that you're out there doing something. They might not buy that work, but at least let them know that you're out there. And so I try to use my seal everywhere I can. So we'll take another look. Next picture. And this is one of the awards I got. I got this in 2005, so I've been doing this for a couple of years. And then you'll see my seal on the bottom. This is a block print. One thing about, like I said, about the opinion of the judge, I entered this picture one time out in Portland, Oregon, and they looked at it. They said, "That's got to be a painting." So they put it into the painting class. Can you believe that? I can't. I still can't. I think it's really funny. So it's just depending of a person, you don't know who they are or what their qualifications are. So like I said, from that point on, I says, well, okay, I'll survive it. It's nice to get the awards. It's just somebody's opinion at the time. So I got this one over in Michigan at Zibbewing Art Center. And then so I don't stamp the original work. I make copies of it, and then I give them the copy. So we can go to the next, you can go to the open slide. Okay. Well, just slide back one. Yeah, well, sorry, an open picture. So it's a, even though it's just a sheet of paper, that's all it is, just sheet of paper. Seals right here. So it's kind of a, like I said, fun thing for me to do. Makes them happy, makes me happy. Took 4 years for this guy to come back, so I don't care. You know. So anyways, we'll go to the next shot then. Next slide. It is tough to do. And so what I have is, I was just showing you, there's my documentation for this image that I have here. And then the white chunk is actually the backing for the image. And then the striped thing is for the clear bag. So I'll let you come back to an open picture. And here, it's, you know, like I said, it's tough to film on.
Yeah, we can see
Tough to
it.
film a clear bag.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that later. There's a slide up there to show you that they got a nice little seal on it, which is. And so I have my artwork that I put in there in like a smaller version. This is 10 by 12, probably 10 by 12. And then I have a cardboard on back because I sell a lot of these in stores. So, you know, customers, they like fumble them with their fingers. I'm going to bend them all the heck. So you got to provide some support for it. And I used to cut these by hand. And, you know, if you want to listen to the radio a few hours, you can do that. But then now, this place I got, clearbags.com, I just buy the sheet. So I don't have to sit and cut it. I only cut my finger a couple times with it. And after you do that, you finally wise up and say, maybe I shouldn't do this. But you want to be making art, you don't want to be doing all this other, and you don't save that much. I didn't know better. And so let's bring up the next slide. And we're going to talk about framing works. Next one past that, here we go. Yeah, framing work, there we go. I have certain pictures that I sell for quite a few more dollars. And in the process, I buy UV protective glass to do my framing. So on the left-hand side, you'll see this seal. That actually is, if you go to a framing shop, they'll stick that seal on the back of the frames. I don't do it. I just give it to them right and let them decide what they want to do with it. Because once they take it apart, you know, that sticker is gone with the paper. So again, it's about educating the individual. It tells you how to clean the glass, which is kind of nice. You can go to their website, True View website, and you can get this information. So it's something I really don't make up, other than I pull out the information I want that's pertinent to the artwork and the piece of glass and things like that. And again, if you can see at the bottom, I put my seal on everything, and you can see right there. So I just, you know, use it on everything, so you know where it came from, and you know, again, you're developing a relationship. I do this for paper. I have paper. I have a gold leaf, silver leaf. I use maybe 4 or 5 different varieties of printing paper. So I got a document for each of those. Acrylics, golden acrylics, oil paints. And we'll go to the next picture. And I have one for canvas, you know. And whenever I sell my work, I give all this stuff to the patrons, and I said it's part of developing that relationship that you want with them. Some people really, I think, really enjoy it. Some are, you know, don't know what to do with it. So this is all coming from their websites. Pastels, I use it for, I get pastels out there. Whatever product I have, you go out and search them down and you can get that information. And it's a nice thing to do. Okay. Go to the area. We'll go to the next thing. And what you're looking at is actually, it's a 3-page document. It's how I frame my my cedar smoke images. Well, one with cedar smoke, it's always active. I try to seal it like I do a lot of my other products, but the artwork, but the thing is when you spray, I use this, you couldn't use a roller for sure, but when you use a spray, it's like, you know, you do with a garden hose. It gets real wet on the center where you're shooting, but on the outside it leaves dots. So I did that to my smoke pictures and wrecked them, right? Wrecked that one. And so now my pictures are not sealed at all. the smoke doesn't fall down. You know, if you think about getting smoke on your hands, it doesn't come off unless you rub it and work it. So anyways, I tell them how I framed it. I usually use a 1/2-inch spacer. And this is the work that I use with the conservative glass. So it's UV filtered glass, it's special glass. Which is interesting about the glass work. They got little, I don't know how they do it, they got little wordings on the side that tell you what side to put your image, so you know what side is the UV protection. Anyway, so I tell them how I framed it, and I go through each of the different steps to do it. I got like about 8 steps I go through the frame of work. From everything, you know, because I tell them about the foam board I use, documents for that. It's important, you know, because you don't want to buy, people don't want to, you know, as people get smarter, they don't want to be buying stuff that's not acid-free. That's what causes the prices to go up, is you're paying for this acid-free stuff. And so you want to tell them that you are in fact using it, so they don't have to worry about it, because some old pictures I used to bought from other places did not use acid-free, and then I take them apart and I find out that the acid is already starting to chew on the paper. So I go out front right away and like again, we talked about buying the best materials you can afford and things, whether it's materials for framing, or if you're doing beading work, if it's beads, you want to make sure you use, you know, I'm just, the only one I really know is check beads are more of a glass bead. Because you want to tell them if you're using plastic or not, you know, it's like, whatever you can afford, whether it's real leather, you know, you tell them if it's moose hide, deer hide, or whatever, so they kind of know what it is. They talk about themselves, and they talk about their friends, and I think that's the biggest thing. Now you got your sales force, you don't know it, but they're selling your artwork for you. Okay. Is that it? Oh, we got one more thing I can show you. Let me go back then. And I tell you about this is what I do. This particular work is being sold, and I do this for a variety of works, my commission work. So I make this nice book, and in here is a reproduction of that work. If you can see it, I put a spine. I'll have my name of the work, and the year. And inside, you know, like I said, I use that heavy sleeve, and this one I put the person, because I know the person's name, I'll have the person's name on here. You can't, it's okay. Document about the work. Document still upside down. Document about the work myself and what it is they're buying, and the story that I have around it. And I give them you can't quite see it, I get a short statement. I give them my mug shot. And I talk about the golden paints I use. Like I said, go to their website, Golden Paints. You can find out all about that information you want. And I put something together for Golden Paints. It ends up being 2 pages. And then again, I'll go back to my color list. Now I don't know how many colors I got in there, but I use that many to do that particular work. I give them the number, the name of it from Golden. So here's the canvas. So you can go there and find the name of the canvas. What you find, you can find a little bit of a description. They'll give you something. And then usually you'll have to maybe add something like this on the back, but it will have the canvas and the definition, but it'll tell you about it on here. I got that's heavy cotton duck, archival quality, acid-free titanium, acrylic prime. And it says used with acrylics and oil paints. Tells you the size of the stretchers, and then also it just happens to say it conforms to some number, non-toxic, and that's usually a California thing. Yeah, so I'll send them this. He'll probably ask, like the picture I sold him 4 years ago. I wasn't doing this 4 years ago. He'll probably ask for something else to support his previous purchase, which is okay. It'll be a fun thing to go back. And I just want to tell you about these things here are really nice. hear me pull it against the plastic, so it's real nice. Just slide it in, protect your stuff. You can have it in stores. You have no problems with the customers looking at it, and it makes a good presentation, and it makes your stuff look, like it's worth their purchasing. So we have, that's probably all the real pictures I have now that you can go through and think about it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of monkeying around, but that's what you got to do. And develop that patrons, educate them verbally when they're in your booth or wherever you're at. Educate them by handing this stuff to them. Like I said, it took 4 years for this last guy to come and buy, but this is okay. So it's developing long-term patrons. And I have like in the past, I have some customers who have like 17 pictures. I don't know where they put them all. I don't know if they resell them or what, but and then they brought their son in and he's got about 13. It's just unbelievable how that happens. And so we can talk about some of those questions, right? And one is how do you know when to increase our prices on your artwork? Well, at some point you start selling your artwork, and then I slowly raise the prices up there. Not a lot, but especially my prints, which is nice, I can keep track of that a little bit closer. But when I do paintings, I kind of keep track of that, but because they're all different sizes, and it's really hard to identify how much to raise the price. But a lot of it is materials, and again, we talked about the 5 types of pricing. Like I do a lot of that, figure out what the time is, and then I just, and again, the materials. That's really to me the real basis of it. But I don't necessarily, again, you don't necessarily want to raise your prices here and they're lower here at someplace else, because if you get somebody who visits you from different places and they bought from this place and it was X amount of dollars and they went over here and they found it either a lot cheaper, they'll probably not buy from you again. But if you have a higher price on it, they'll like that. Because I have some people buy and I tell them, well, I'm selling this picture for this much now, and they'll get all excited because now the value has gone up. Art should be enjoyed. I don't think it's that much of an investment for them, but they treat it like that, which is, it's an investment, and it maybe has some value, but to find something to pay that extra dollar from somebody else is maybe a little bit harder. So it's always there's no, like I said, there is no clear-cut answer to raising prices or selling art. What you feel comfortable with, giving yourself and your time and your effort. You think about when I first started, I was hoping I was getting minimum wage at least for my time, and then the materials for your work, and you have your other expenses, travel and hotels and food, and you try to get those things covered. And so there's a lot of different variables that get into there. And it's just really, it's a tough thing. That's the hardest thing, is to figure out, especially when you're a beginning, you're emerging artist, or you're a middle level artist. Even when you're middle level, you're still gonna have these problems. And I know very few people that are at the top. I don't know what you want to call that. They might sell a nice picture. It's like probably 6 by 8, I when I have this friend who sells them at 6 by 8, and they're like $56,000. I can't believe it. I'm still shocked about that. But if that's what you want to do, and it's a whole different ball game when you get in that arena. And the other part of the question is, do we give our long-lasting patrons discounts for being top consumers? Again, I don't do that really as much. If they in fact will sit there and they'll buy a second one, I'll give them a discount, but not just a single purchase. But what I will do to make them feel that they're comfortable buying your work is when I go to these markets, I'll bring all kinds of stuff with me. And what I bring is when I go to other shows or I'm in a show and they have a postcard of my work, or they have a poster, or I'm in the magazines, I'll hand out magazines to people who have been previous patrons. And it's the same with any promotional materials, I'll give it to them. It makes them feel good, and I feel good about giving it away, and it makes them happy. So you have to think about that. I'll give out to some who buy for the first time just to keep them interested in it. And then when they develop a bigger stage, I'll give them more. So I'm lucky. I do end up with quite a few different promotional things, whatever it could be. It could be greeting cards, or it could be your show announcements. When you're part of shows, anytime I see my name, I'll grab extra documents and I'll hand them out. It's just more information for them to have and know that you're out there and you're going places with your artwork, so they feel comfortable with that. And the other one, which is a tough one, what things to avoid when trying to cultivate a collecting relationship with a patron. I don't think there's nothing I don't know, it's a tough one. I don't like to avoid anything. I really try to be positive whatever I do. When I say that, it's materials. You want to use the best materials that you can afford. Be honest with your patron. Tell them what it is, what they're buying. Like you see in the picture of the canvas, there's different variations of canvas. That's probably the lowest end canvas that you want to paint on that I use for this picture and back. But it just happened to be at the time, and so I'm going to tell them this is what the canvas was. I'm not trying to hide. I'm not trying to say it's a better canvas than it actually is, because some are too expensive. You could buy real expensive stuff, and what it does, it ends up raising your price, and then you might not sell it because you never see the canvas, right? Unless you turn on the back, and you still wouldn't know what it is you're buying, unless you're some type of expert who sells canvases and be able to analyze them. So again, that's part of educating. So I try not to not tell them. I try to be positive. And really, if you think about it, when you go buy a piece of artwork, what do you want to hear? Think about that. What do you want to hear? You want to hear that, because I buy artwork, I want to make sure they in fact have it archival. That's the biggest thing. Because you can buy work and you go some places and you'll see that it has never been archival, and you'll see that the acid slowly creeping in onto the paper. It might take numbers of years, but it will happen. And some famous artists have had their stuff framed by somebody else who didn't take that step, and then pretty soon it affects their work, even though they didn't do it. So you got something you got to watch out for. You want to make sure, again, you always want to buy the best you can. Try to buy archival, because I know there's one famous non-native painter paints out there, and he made these big pictures, and they're selling for $100,000 or whatever. But actually, right now, he's probably done these, and they're probably 50 years old, maybe, the paintings, and the paint is actually falling off the canvas. Yeah, how about that? Why'd you have to go out and buy a picture for $100,000+, and all of a sudden, 50 years later, the paint is falling off? And it's because he didn't use archival paints. He didn't use UV protected kind of paints. So you get, if you want your stuff to be out there, if you plan on doing this, well, I don't know about 50 years, but you want to do this for numbers of years. You want to start fading and looking like a poster that was done in the 60s that's hanging in the window that's all faded out. That's kind of really, again, it's going back always, I think, the archival stuff. So that's what I want to hear when I buy a work. I want to find out what they did, what did they use, because I know a little bit more. So you educate yourself. Educating yourself, you can educate your patrons. Tell them to use archival inks. All these people who manufacture the stuff, that's their big deal. If you go look at what they sell and how they say it, it's some of the same words you should use. You're not inventing it. You're just trying to tell people be honest, I'm selling it, I'm not using inexpensive paints. You have to say that, but you can tell me use archival approved paints and things like that. Because I'm going to talk about paintings, right? Because that's what I do. Materials a little bit different. When I say materials, glass beads. I know a guy who does beads, and he uses gold beads, so he's got to tell them gold beads, gold and silver beads, or otherwise, people think they're just yellow and shiny. They won't know what they're actually looking at. So it's a little bit about telling them, educating them. So I really want to be honest about yourself, your work, and really use our archival things. Are there ideal ways to attract patrons that will be able to pay reasonable prices for your work? I think what I do, because I tell you the truth, I like to keep my hand in a variety of pockets, so I have different sizes. Somebody who has a little bit more financial resources would maybe want a bigger picture, but a lot of it you'll find out you sell work that fits some hole in some wall. Somebody will come and say, "Oh, can it be 2 inches shorter?" Or can it be this size or that size? And you can't please everybody, but so you're trying to get a general idea of what can fit on a wall. I live in a South Minneapolis area, and we got our walls are busted up with windows, so there isn't a lot. You can't put a big picture on there. And it really boils down to who is your audience. I love to sell to people because I love to talk to people. And then next year they'll tell me where it's hanging. And it's kind of nice to hear. So you develop that relationship. You develop a long term. So you be honest with them, give them the time. You'll know who these people are after a while. And then, if you want to mail them stuff, tell them that you're going to be at a show. Put something together and mail it out to them. Tell them that you're going to be here. Some shows I've been entering for like 25, 26 years in a row. And they look forward to you showing up. So you develop that relationship, and people at the shows know you. They'll help you out. They'll give you a little extra place. They'll give you a better showing place to put your booth up. So it's kind of it's all long-term relationships and how you want to develop it.
Well, Gordon, we're at 7:26. Just wondering if we could open it up for questions.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to unmute and ask, that's fine. Or if you wanted to still put it in the chat, that's okay too. I think I'll get started with a question because I just kind of thought of one. With your documentation, it seems like it's so much. Like,
It is a lot.
I've never seen another artist be so detailed with it. So if there was one thing you wanted us to take away for us to go and start doing, where we might not want to do all of those things, but if there was one thing, what would that one thing be?
Well, let me just say, it took me, I've been doing this for 30 years, so it took me a while to develop this. But you start out, and I think I started out giving just a description. And that's a good start. You give people a picture of what the idea is behind it. My descriptions have grown, like your artist statement is a living document, because every year it changes or whatever, and things happen, and so you develop you different paths of your art. So you want to have a document that you hand off to them. And the other thing is, you'll see it now in a lot of markets, they will give a certificate. They maybe not do the embossing piece, but they might give a smaller one, actually just a small piece of paper that says authentic handmade or authentic made Native American art. Because that's usually what I'm at. And you'll see that especially jewelers, they don't want to carry all this stuff with them. They'll just crank out a real short one. So that's it. Really, you want to give out a description and make sure you have contacts of you so they can get a hold of you next time. Get their contacts. I forgot to do that when I first started. Kind of get get them to develop a mailing list. You don't necessarily have to mail them, but you can mail them when when you're coming into town again. If they bought from you, you maybe want to tell them that you're coming back. So I would say develop a contact. And the supportive thing that you don't have is you want to develop a schedule. Make sure you have a schedule of what you're going, so you're ready for these shows. You're not scrambling to the last hour to get something done. That's a big thing. Time goes quick when you want to get to this stuff. Store might not have it, and then you got to wait. So always document would be a good thing. A one-page document telling about you, the artwork, certificate authenticity would be a good thing to have, and your schedule. And think about why you're doing this. Your really vision questions you're going on. Why do I do this art? Do I do this to drive me crazy, or do I do this for fun, or what? Or we do it for being crazy. It might be a short trip, but
Are there any, are there any other questions? No questions?
You can make one, okay?
I just thought of another one.
Good.
Since nobody's putting in the chat or unmuting. So you said you started out with just a document, like a description of your work that you would give out. Did you learn all these other practices with the embosser and the award document and other things? Where did you learn these things? Just on when you were at markets and seeing other people do it, or did it just come to you that you needed to do these things?
Well, when I first started to sell artwork, I did not do the description. So I would sit and talk to people, and I thought that was plenty. But then I figured out, you got to do something a bit more. It really was. I actually had a day job when I was doing this, and part of my day job was in charge of individuals with projects, and I know how to write a project and keep a project going and what you needed to address all these different types of issues. And it's similar to this, it's kind of like what you want to do, convince somebody to buy your work, and that's really what it is. And I don't know where these other pieces come into, I really couldn't identify them, why I did them, but when I first bought them bag of sealers, I see they had a seal on there, so it looks nice as silver seal, but it didn't say anything. And then I just went from there, and that's why I did that little stamp. We talked to him before. I use this little stamp with my name on it. The biggest thing is get your name out there as much as you can, whether it's a news article. If I have a news article about an artwork, I'll include that. See, anytime my name is used, I grab it, make copies of it.
Yeah, like this card.
Oh, yeah.
So the First Nations Development Institute used Gordon's image of one of his paintings, one that he talked about tonight, We Heal You, for their holiday card. And this is a national organization that grants money out to Indigenous organizations and individuals. So that's pretty cool, Gordon.
Yeah, that was real nice. I'm glad they got a hold of me, because it was like they're a good supporter of Native arts, not only arts, like you say, Native companies, corporations, even the reservation I'm from. I see their name used up there, and I didn't, I tracked them down again. What do they do, And it's a real nice group up there, located in Colorado. There's snow country.
Yeah. Is there any questions that, like, you have a burning question that you wanted to ask Gordon, maybe not about the topic at hand, like maybe who his teachers were, who inspires him, anything like that? You can go off topic if you have a question like you want to ask.
I wasn't at the other two, I'm gonna go watch them later. I'm sorry I missed them, but so maybe you cover, Gordon, maybe you covered this earlier, but it sounds like you like live in a RV or something and travel
Yeah.
around, is that right? And then, so you go to different shows and that's the way you sell your work? Is that?
Well, that's just one of the ways. It is a, you know, it's probably 50-50 in what I total dollars I make per year. But I have a website that we didn't talk about, but this website gives me a lot of email contacts, and email contacts are for artwork. I'll get contacts for shows. I'll get contacts for participating in teaching adventures. So I'll do that. So I get a lot of that. And once that starts, it just keeps going on from year for the same place.
Okay.
I just finished one yesterday at a school in town here at Richfield, and I do another one in town school I've been doing for 6 years. It's just something, again, if you do good for them, they're going to keep calling you.
And you're in the Twin Cities, is that right?
I live in the Twin Cities. I'm from, again, Lac Courte, which is like 150 miles northwest over Wisconsin, 50 miles south of Lake Superior. But I love traveling. I love meeting different tribes, different friends. I got friends all over, invite me to weddings and all kinds of stuff. I get to go.
Oh,
I take pictures of the kids that they're growing up and then show them. You know, it's quite an adventure. I just love doing it.
okay.
And, you know, people are great. I just love them. Everybody. My wife might think we live in an RV, but no, we live in a house.
Well, something you said made it sound that way. That's why I asked, but
Well, when
yeah.
I said before I said I had a trailer, and what I do
That's
is I
it. Yeah.
bring a small trailer with me. It's only, it's only small. It's enclosed trailer, and that
Okay.
thing every now and then they might bounce around and depend upon where I'm going, and I end up with a trailer rash and a picture. I did this for Santa Fe one year, and I pull out the picture just to inspect it, and all of a sudden there's a big trailer mark on it. You know, something was rubbing on it. Oh no, now what? So I raced around, and that's really when I found out I better have my nice color list with me. Figure what I got.
Oh yeah. No, that was a great yeah, a great tip. Pro tip. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Again, that's what I like doing, is talking about art, and Ivy knows when to chase us off, but I'll be here all night if you want to.
Yes, you will.
Well, I may hit you up later. I really, I have been in theater a long time. Oh yeah, and I'm really liking your couple walking across the screen.
That's my friends.
Yeah, they look, yeah, those are cool.
He protects my garden also. Have you seen a picture of my garden scarecrow?
Okay. Yeah, no, but this was very helpful, and I'm gonna go look at the others. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for our third and final session. And I will email out a recording of the link of the recording, and as well as the survey, participant survey. So if you could just take a couple minutes to fill that out, and I'll give that feedback to Gordon. And I will also be posting the link on our American Indian Community Housing Organization Facebook page, and also our AICHO Galleries Facebook page. So feel free to follow us on there, and we'll be doing some more workshops. Actually, we have a workshop coming up on January 13th, and it's Laban Smith, and he's from a First Nation reserve, and he is going to teach us how to make a birch bark rattle. And so if you go to the AICHO Galleries page or the AICHO Facebook page, you will find the event page for that. And then you'll kind of see a listing of the supplies that you'll need. And you can follow along or just watch and learn about these rattles. And so AICHO, American Indian Community Housing Organization, and AICHO Galleries, we provide the community with a lot of these sessions, art sessions, and hands-on art sessions. And especially when we're not in COVID, we used to have them all the time in person, and now we're doing them virtually, which gives more access to more people from around the country. So, but you can be updated if you follow those 2 pages on upcoming events. And I put grant information on there as well. Our website is AICHO.org. So you could go there as well to get some information. But we're 10 minutes over. So I think I'm gonna close the session. And
Ivy,
yes.
one last comment, just to make sure that everybody meets your deadlines for your Zoom sessions. So it's actually before the date of the event, right?
Say again?
That you have a date that you have to register before the Zoom event date.
Oh, yes. I can't remember what the date is for the registration deadline is for the Birch Bark Rattle workshop.
Yeah.
But it's like a week before. And then I'll send out the Zoom link the day before, because I'm a little worried about hackers and stuff like that. Since we've already got close to 200 people that are registered for that session. And so we can accept 500. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, maybe I'll even put the link, the registration link to that session in the email that I send to you all, if you want to register for that. But any last parting words for us, Gordon?
Well, always make art.
Yes.
Be ready to talk about yourself. Don't be bashful. We all make mistakes. Okay. So, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't chase a dollar too hard, but enjoy selling your work.
That's good advice. All right. Again, Gordon's website is www.gordoncoons.com. So feel free to go check that out and see his work and read up about him. So Miigwech again for joining us. And
One more thing. Yeah, if you want a question, just ask a question, and then this place sends me the emails, and so you can do that if you want an additional comment.
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, good night, everybody. Miigwech. Be well over the holiday. Bye,
Bye.
Sassy.